Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kennon, Wesley, Mason. That's me. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Kinetic Hour. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to view the Kinetic Hour. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click thumbs up. And make sure you leave a comment down below. It's always appreciated when people leave their comments. And just your viewership is appreciated. Your viewership. In this episode, I'm just going to go into some more about what the Kinetic platform is as it relates to any and all topics that we bring to the table. I know many times that we tell our friends or we've heard from our friends and acquaintances and may possibly even family members that there are two things that you should never discuss on a date. One is religion and the other is politics. And for the last month, we've been watching, for those that are into politics to some degree, and keep in mind that I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I belong to no political party whatsoever. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I was registered as an independent, but that's just another political label. I'm Kennon Wesley Mason. That's who I am. And I represent my own self and my own political views, which can be conservative or liberal. So it doesn't matter what the political parties are and what their labels are. I subscribe to neither of the two major political parties because of the nearly 175 years that they have been in power. We see what the results are. As we speak, we see what the results are as a result of Republicans and Democrats being in control of public policy. For almost 200 years, they've been in control. And we see what the results are and what they have been for decades. I mean, political cycle after political cycle, we see the same speech, the same talking points, especially when it comes to the Republican Party, which has definitely changed over the last 150 years. But the Republican Party, I can start with them. The Republican Party, as we have seen over the last presidential cycle, that Republicans collectively seem to be obsessed with the Mexican-American border as opposed to being obsessed with the Canadian-American border. But it appears that many Republican representatives love going to Mexico when they go on vacation because they show themselves and they tell us through their social media that they're going to certain parts of Mexico for their vacation, but they're telling the general public to that these dirty Mexican people are coming over the border, and causing all the negatives that are plaguing America. You know, the drug lords and the rapists and the murderers that are coming over here by the dozens from Mexico only. And we are supposed to be fearful of Mexican people when, if I'm not mistaken, we are still on land that was actually Mexican or Native American, or at least the land that I'm on right now. I'm in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is as close to, outside of San Diego, Los Angeles is as close as you're going to get to Mexico. You can't get no more close. I mean, it's a 2-hour drive from here to Mexico where I am now. I'm just south of Los Angeles. So I'm on Mexican soil. Historically, from a historical position, but because of political influence being, I guess, introduced to this land through colonialism. Colonialism has produced the political field that we live in today, which is why the laws are the way that they are. And back to the Republican Party, which is known as the Party of Conservative Thinking, or conservative thinking meaning that it's their way or no way. Also, the Republican Party is the party of elitism thinking. Because when we hear Republican senators speaking, they speak from an I'm better than you position. I'm better than you. Now, all members of the Senate are pretty much the elite of politicians, probably more elite than the president, because they pass laws. The Senate. And if the House of Representatives bring a piece of legislature to the table, or policies that could possibly change the landscape of how we live and think and respond in society, it can be shut down in a heartbeat by way of the Senate. I mean, there's three levels of politics when you get to when you get into the House of Representatives. You have the House of Representatives, and then you have the Senate, and then you have the president, who makes the final say. They either sign the bill or they veto it, meaning that that bill will not go into effect, or this law will not go into effect. However, depending on or how politics is set up, you have, again, being ran by Republicans and Democrats, you have the House of Representatives that put laws on the table, and usually many laws get passed through the House, but as soon as it gets to the Senate, things go and come to a halt. Especially on the Republican side. The Republican side tends to be more about Second Amendment rights. First Amendment rights too, but even more Second Amendment rights. I mean, when the Second Amendment is one of your top priorities, what is your fear? Why do we believe or feel or have the notion or have the perception or belief that we have to have guns, especially military weapons? I mean, we have to have military weapons. I mean, the Republican Party believes that we need military weapons for protection just because we have a Second Amendment that allows us as Americans to protect ourselves through firearms, which is fine, but a handgun will suffice. A handgun. Not a military weapon, like we're going to 10,000 miles away to go and drop bombs and go shoot out in the open fields. No, we're talking about military weapons that are in our neighborhoods, that are in our communities, where children are being raised. I mean, you would think that the conservative wouldn't want a military weapon in the hands of people in our neighborhoods. I mean, what message are we sending to our children? That we live in such a horrid world, or at least here in America, we live in such a horrid country that we need military weapons for protection? Why does the Republican Party want all of America to have the belief that we live in such a horrible country that we in our communities need military weapons for protection? Why does the Republican Party want us to believe that because we have a Second Amendment that it's okay that we have military weapons against our neighbor across the street? Military weapons. When we go to the store to buy our groceries, we need a military weapon. The only way you can really fight crime is to lift many of the frivolous laws that we have as policy. I mean, when a law is created, it's there to create revenue, because when somebody breaks that law, you have to pay a fine. I mean, even if it's for something as minor and minute as jaywalking, not using the crosswalk to cross the street. I mean, criminals, there are countries here that have some very, very low crime rates. And for the reasons that I just mentioned, because there's no reason for them to break laws. There's no reason. They have access to more things that they can purchase with their level of budget. And the homeless rate is at an all-time low in varying countries around the world. Especially there are some countries in Europe that have this very low crime rate and very low prison rate as well. But leave it up to America, which some people say is the greatest country in the world. People say that America, I've heard it all my life, America is the greatest country in the world, as opposed to other countries that may have less crime, better education, opportunity, less people in the prison system, more entrepreneurs, less homelessness. But we're the greatest country in the world. And we're, 37th in education? But we're the greatest country in the world. We have the highest rate of African men or Americanized or colonialized African men in the prison system for minor offenses that could have been alleviated through a simple financial fine or some sort of correction program. I mean, we call these prisons correction facilities, but what are we doing to correct the individual? What are we doing? What are we doing to correct the individual? I mean, many people, when they go into the prison system, they become worse. Not corrected. They become worse. Being locked up in a cage for human beings. I mean, that's what prison is. It's a cage for human beings. I mean, we're locking up human beings like animals for petty errors. I mean, and again, the prison system, I can go on and on about the prison system, which is why we call it the prison industrial complex, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. The prison system. Prison is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Prison. So the more laws that are put into policy, and if you violate them, we don't even know a fraction of the laws that are on the books, so we don't even know that we're violating certain laws. As soon as you walk out your door, virtually you're breaking a law somehow, some way. But this is what politics has created. I mean, you want to stop crime. It's very simple. Crime can be alleviated or reduced when policies change. That's it. When policies change and people have more access to do things to where they won't have to feel like they have to take or steal something from someone else, instead of paying an honest trade-off for someone's goods and services or someone's product. We shouldn't have to steal anything. But again, I mean, this is just one nuance of why people become criminals, or why people involve themselves in criminal activity. Politics helps to contribute to that, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, or whether we choose to see it or not. It doesn't negate the fact that it does exist, and it is one of the reasons why crime exists the way that it does. Doesn't matter whether it's in a Republican-run city or a Democrat-run city. Crime is everywhere. Doesn't matter what city you live in. Doesn't matter if the mayor is Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter if the governor is Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter if the president is Republican or Democrat. Crime is everywhere. Why? Because of policy. It's everywhere. When you change the policy to where people have access to more, and we start teaching people how to create opportunities for themselves, crime reduces. Crime reduces. And then America can be that greatest country in the world, or at least one of. And being one of, it'll be at more of a higher ranking than what it is now. Because America is a great country. But damn it, it sure could use some improvement. Right? Some improvement. And it's needed improvement for the last 400 years. I mean, do we need to go there? Again, we're talking about history, the history of politics and how politics has molded and shaped society. And as Ralph Nader would say, the two-party dictatorship, which is the Republican and Democratic parties. These are the two political parties that have run the show. They're running the show right now. If you even look, if you see a third party, you better not blink, because if you do, you will miss it. This is how much the third party has been accepted into the political realm of Republicans and Democrats. Because they don't, the Republicans and Democrats, they don't want competition other than the competition that they perceive to us, that they're in competition. That's what the perception is, that they're in competition. But once you put a third party in the mix, which is what I love, because you finally, or we finally, get to hear something different. Something different, a new idea. Not the same old ideas, the same old talking points that we hear from Republicans and Democrats every 2 to 4 years. Every 2 to 4 years. Republicans talk conservative talk. Democrats talk about liberating the people, but then backtrack once they get into office. And then nothing gets accomplished, or very little gets accomplished. Because it's all lip service at the end of the day. It's all lip service. Politics as we know it today is about feeding the mind the notion that the political figure will make everything better in your life and in the life of your neighbors and your loved ones. That if you vote for the right person, right? That's what they tell you. They point the finger. We want you, right? When they want you to go and be patriotic and be loyal to your country. Well, many of us have been very loyal to policies and our rights to vote and things of this nature. But the evolvement of change has been at such a snail's pace, it's almost non-existent on a number of levels. So how can we make it better? Well, there's many ways. Some ways are maybe more radical than others. But nonetheless, they are suggestions on how to make it better. One is to, as former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura would always put it, stop voting for Republicans and Democrats. That's one way. Stop voting for Republicans and Democrats. I mean, look at this Georgia Senate race that we've seen. The final Senate seat. And I'm glad it's over now, because we don't get to see this narrative, this final seat of two very different black men, or two black men with very different personas, very contrasting personas. And it just goes to show you that the stereotypical thinking of Caucasian people, predominantly Caucasian men, still exist. That good old boy mentality, it still exists. And there's no other great example that can be given for this than the example of one great football great, Herschel Walker, who I used to watch back in the day, especially during his Georgia Bulldog days. But this is a man who has been plastered and exploited in front of the, quote, conservative Republican audience. The whole world, but specifically the Republican conservative voter, with the notion that he is the best qualified candidate to have a Senate seat in politics, a Senate seat. I mean, you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar to be in the Senate, but Herschel Walker, and this is, I just call it the way, not only the way I see it, but a great majority of people see it in the same perception that I do, is that Herschel Walker is may not be the most intelligent choice for that position, for that specific position. And I believe that actually I know just from looking at certain conservative channels that Herschel Walker has been made to be the ultimate puppet, and other political figures are being the puppet master, with him on the strings like the marionette, they pulling the strings and making him do whatever they want him to do. And this has been the perception of how Caucasian men have handled black men throughout the last 450 years. It just brings back the memory of what the preconceived notions have been about how black men are perceived to Caucasian men, as being unintelligent, as being unintelligent, not well spoken, not being able to be understanding in the speech patterns, all of these things. And I'm not saying Herschel Walker has to even be a college graduate, because you can self-educate and be more qualified to have and run that Senate seat. So this is no knock on him personally. This is just a matter of what the public perception has been, based on, again, the way he has presented himself. If you notice, Herschel Walker never had teleprompters. They just gave him the mic and just let him talk. They just let him talk. No teleprompter. No, how when people read the teleprompters, they go back and forth for a few seconds. They'll read it, act like they're looking at the people while they're actually reading the teleprompter, and then they go back and turn this way, and they'll give the perception that they're looking at the crowd over here on this side while they're reading the teleprompter. With Herschel Walker, no, you don't get any of that, or you didn't. Again, they just put him at the podium and just let him talk. And we see what the talk was for at least 30 days. Him bringing up stuff about the movies that he saw, werewolves and all this stuff. And the same old talking points. His opponent voted for the president 96% of the time. Same old talking points. Talking about the air and how the good air is going to move over here and the bad air is going to move over there. showing his badge at the debate, at their one and only debate. Politics. And this is politics. And people are literally voting for these people. People are literally voting for this option to go into this highly prestigious and this political position. This is an esteemed political position. For some people, it can be a lifelong position. There are people in the Senate that have been there, just like people that go into the Supreme Court. For some senators, it can be a lifetime gig, which can be, or I'll just say that it hasn't been good for the country to have someone in this position for so long, given the same suggested policies, because you've been in the Senate or you've been in the House of Representatives for 20 to 30 years. And we're still talking about the same subject matters. We're still talking about the same subject matters. But you've been in the Senate for 30 years. And what has changed in your respective state? What's changed in your respective state? That we could say, yeah, we need to keep voting for him. Many people have been in the Senate because the Senate races, they're looked upon a little differently than the presidential race. So many people vote for the senators because it's just it's almost like a habit. Oh, he's been in there so long, might as well keep voting for him or her, as it may be for some other senators. But with these lifetime gigs, there comes complacency with the people that are in these seats. They become complacent. They get comfortable. And having being in this political position for such a lengthy period of time and not creating significant change to where we won't have to keep bombarding society with the same subject matters and the same talking points of solution from them, the political figures, because they keep saying the same thing every 2 years. They keep saying the same thing every 4 years. And then when they get into office, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. We can't do this unless the House does this. We can't do this unless the Senate does this. So it's a back and forth like ping pong, taking the people on the one of the ultimate roller coaster rides called politics. And again, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, it really doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. For those that are have an endeavor to be in politics, learn, really do some due diligence and learn the history of politics and why politics works better in other countries versus other countries, such as here in America. Why you have less crime in other countries as opposed to here in America. Why you have less prisoners or people in prison in other countries as opposed to here in America. We have the largest prison population in the world here in America. There is no other place on the planet that has the volume of prisoners that we do here in America. I mean, by sheer volume. That's why more prisons are being built. Every year there's a prison being built somewhere. Why? Because it generates revenue. The more people that you can put in jail, the more revenue. You got to run it somehow. You got to hire people. You got to hire, quote, correctional officers. Right? and what corrections are they giving the prisoners? How are they correcting the prisoners so they can be better when they go out into society? How are the correctional officers helping to correct the imprisoned? How? Are they sitting down with the prisoners and helping them read books and helping them to get their minds in a better place? No, they're not doing that. So the correction officer, that's a misnomer because it doesn't even exist. They're not correction officers. They are maximum security officers. They're maximum security officers, but they're not correcting any of the people that are imprisoned. That's not their job. That's not their job. Again, politics is the ultimate roller coaster, or one of. It's the ultimate roller coaster. It keeps going back and forth. Back and forth. Republican, Democrat, Democrat, Republican, Republican, Democrat, Democrat, Republican. And that's what it has been, again, for 175 years, approximately. Because you had other political parties that were involved back in those days, back in the early days of the presidency, back in the 18th century. You had the Federalist Party and Federalists, and it was another party. I can't think of it off the top right now. But there were a couple of other parties, political parties, that individuals were a part of, and many of them became presidents of the early United States, of the early colonies. And again, post-Civil War, it's been nothing but Republican and Democrat running the show, back and forth, conservative policies versus liberal policies. One wants to be this extreme, the other wants to be this extreme. In life, nothing is ever so extreme. In life, nothing is ever so extreme. All of us have conservatism and liberalism within all of us. All of us have certain elements of life that we have conservative views on. I know I do. And there are many of us that have more liberal or I guess I'll just use the term liberal as opposed, for the sake of this conversation, more liberal views versus conservative. And that's okay too. That's okay too. As long as we know how to differentiate the balance, being equal to each and being fair to each. Because both or all have their place. I mean, all of the political parties have their place, whether it's the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the Peace and Freedom Party, the Independent Party, the Green Party. All of them have their place because we all have opinions that parallel with all of them to varying degrees. Why? Because we're human beings. And no one is so rigid that, I guess some people are rigid, or they've developed the rigidity. They've developed it. So some people you can never convince to open their minds to something different. And that's okay too. This is the beauty of being here on this planet. That's the beauty of being here on this planet, that we can be conscious enough to have this conversation and knowing the difference between being conservative and being conservative or being, quote, liberal or more open to being more open to new ideas so we can evolve versus remaining in old ideas that some people are ready to move forward. I mean, old ideas will only work for so long in an ever-evolving world. I mean, so this is the reason why politics is such the roller coaster ride, and it's confusing to many. Which is, again, why I don't belong to any of these political parties. I don't need to. I have my own opinions. I have my own way that I want to live my life. And it has nothing to do with what any political figure says. I mean, as an entrepreneur, it really doesn't matter to me who is in office. Entrepreneurs learn to adjust and adapt and use whatever circumstances that are in place, use it to their advantage. That's what I'm doing. That's what most, if not all, entrepreneurs do. Doesn't matter who's in office. You adjust, you adapt. You know, you change things up for the sake of your business so you can keep making it better and it can evolve. So people, I use politics to my advantage without using politics, because I don't get emotionally invested in politics anymore. Because again, many people they vote over and over and over and over and over and over again with the hopes that one day that I will pick the right president that will do things that will help serve me and how I want to live my life so it can be better. Many people are truly waiting for the right president to be elected. I don't think there will ever be a, quote, right president, which is another conversation. Because, again, politics is can be one of the dirtiest professions for a number of reasons. And so for those that want to go into politics as a career endeavor, go in with your great intentions and just be sure to be aware enough to keep those intentions in check, because the energy of politics can suck you in like a vacuum. And some people learn real quick how dirty politics can be, because people that go into politics, many times they develop that thirst for power, which is okay, but use that power to help people, versus feeling like because you're in power now you can domineer over everyone. Because now that you're in power, now your ego is even bigger now. I mean, it's kind of, the ego. Because politics can heighten the ego for a lot of politicians, especially career politicians. So in order for politics to change, so it can better serve the people, because again, politics is supposed to be about doing the will of the people and voting for people to represent the masses in the community. That one person or two people or whatever it is, depending on the position, to represent the people within the community, or within the city, or within the state, or at the presidential level, the country. all levels. Do the will of the people. And but then again, because we have the two political parties, the will of the people is always going to be split, because people are going to believe that this way is the way, and if you don't do it this way, this is going to happen. People on this side is going to believe this way and believe that this way is the right way. I mean, we saw what happened on January 6th of 2021. We saw what happened. And there's no denying that that was a horrible event that occurred on that day. And there are still political figures that are still downplaying that event. Still making it a, quote, Republican Democrat thing. The Republicans made this happen. The Democrats made that happen. If it wasn't for those Democrats, this wouldn't have happened. If it wasn't for those darn Republicans doing this, that wouldn't have happened. Well, January 6th, and if you notice, the number one conservative news channel, which is Fox News Channel, they haven't even touched the fact that many of the people that participated in that event have been convicted and they're going to jail. Fox News isn't reporting that. They're not reporting that. I mean, they wouldn't even show the hearings that were occurring. The January 6th committee hearings. They didn't show those. They didn't show those hearings because it would have had to change. It would have changed their narrative. They would have had to change their narrative. That's just the bottom line, which is why Fox News is considered an entertainment channel, because they pick and choose what they want you to see so you can think and believe in a very specific way. That's why Fox News is the way that it is. They want you to think in a very specific way. Very specific. This is the reason why they only show you very specific topics. The rest of the world may say that this is headline news, or this is the hot topic of the day, or this is breaking news. Not on Fox, you won't get that. Their breaking news is something happened at the border. We see thousands of people or hundreds of people crossing the border. That's breaking news for them. Not the fact that the person that broke into Nancy Pelosi's home and attacked her husband was a Canadian immigrant that didn't belong to this country, and he was here for approximately 6 months illegally. They won't talk about that. They won't talk about that. But I guarantee you, if it was a Mexican person that broke into Nancy Pelosi's house, they would have been plastered all over their station. Plastered. Because that's the narrative that they want you to believe. You know, hey, it's all good. CNN, the perception is that they try to play the middle of the road, but they're no different. I mean, MSNBC is the polar opposite of Fox News. Everything that that Democrats do, hey, is A-OK. They can do no wrong according to MSNBC. The majority of the time. CNN, same thing. CNN is no different. They do the best that they can to try to give the perception that they're not on anyone's side, Republican or Democrat. But if you watch CNN enough, you'll know that CNN is more for the Democratic Party as opposed to the Republican Party. they don't play both sides of the fence. They do lean one way more than the other. Cable news network. But again, these are the three major political networks that mold and shape the way we look at society and the way we look at policies within society. No matter where you live, this is what politics does. And because there's only Republicans and Democrats, by default, it creates division among the people of America. It creates division. Which again, this is one of the reasons why I don't belong to any of these parties. Because it creates division. And that's not what I want for America. To be ran one way only by Democrats or one way only by Republicans. No, human beings don't operate like that. So why are we still so dependent on waiting for a political figure to solve everything for us or to resolve everything for us? They're not going to get to that. I mean, Barack Obama proved that to black people that just because you have a black president doesn't mean that everything's going to be okay for us all of a sudden. He proved that over an 8-year presidential span. He proved that the betterment or the I'll just use that word, the betterment of African people here in America was not on the agenda or was not at the towards the top of the list of agendas for a president that is African American. I mean, so we know that politics does not serve us as completely as we'd like to believe. And it never has. Politics, again, politics is very dirty. Politics can be made great, but politics will only be great when the people neglect corruption. That's when politics will be good for the people. When political figures, especially career political figures, because career politicians, those are the ones that create all the put all the things in place, put all the nuances in place for specific events to occur within society. Because they create the policies. So they know in advance how things are going to occur or how things are going to turn out. They know in advance because they create all this stuff. They have secret meetings about all of this stuff. Political figures and business figures at the highest levels, they get together every single year. And they discuss how the world is going to be in advance. So voting is not the answer because they already have things predetermined before the next cycle occurs. And you don't even know it. It's already a done deal. Before even the new cycle comes around, they already have on their agenda who they would want to be president, or who they want to be in the Senate, or who they want to be in the House permanently. So again, politics can be made great when the people that go in with great intentions to change or to create change, because many people, it's just like the medical field. Many people go into the medical field with great intentions. They want to help people. They want to help people get well. Not knowing that once they go into the medical field, all they're going to learn is how to use synthetic poisons and call it medicine. That's pretty much what happens when people with good intentions go into the medical field. And they truly believe that they're doing the will of the people by learning about synthetic drugs. Politics is the same way. People go in with great intentions, wanting to change the narratives in their communities, wanting to change certain policies and programs, or wanting to add programs to the community. But once they get in there, many roadblocks are put in front of them on many occasions, because many other political figures that have seniority, they don't want things to change. They don't want things to change. Why would they want things to change? I mean, being in their political position has served them well. It's a lifetime gig. You know, as long as I keep a few people happy, I'm good. And I keep my seat. I know, but I'm doing my podcast. It's just me talking right now, and I'm about to wrap up. Here, come here. And here she is again. Here she is again. Oh,
and he's mad that I'm in here.
Well, yeah, because I'm doing a podcast for the people, and it looks like
Is this as high as it can go?
No, it can go higher. There, it's all the way up.
I thought I was clicking the right button.
No, you're good.
Can I move this thing?
There you go. All right. So, now, let's see. Yeah, because because the battery is kind of...
Look at my eyelash. You know, just look at my eye in general.
Okay. So what is it that you want to discuss?
My love for my daddy.
Oh, really? And what about it that you want to tell to the people?
I can't hold his hand because it's too big, so I just hold his finger.
Oh. Yay!
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too.
I'm back.
Yeah,
Did you miss me?
Well, of course. But I still want to finish this broadcast.
We have to brush each other's teeth right now.
Well, I brushed my teeth, but
Well,
I guess I could brush them again.
As soon as this dies, we're going to brush our teeth. So, yeah.
Woo! Look at that.
You need to brush. I brush my teeth by myself, and then I brush my dad's teeth.
Yeah, she plays as my dentist. I guess we're being the... Oh, look at that.
Hold on.
Oh! No, you don't need to do that. Woo, look at that. No.
Oh, I'm bright.
Oh, boy. Okay. Alrighty. So, no. That's there for a reason.
Would it fall?
Yes. I got it propped up there.
Happiness is homemade. This is a nice jar. Can I keep it when you're done using it?
Yes.
Yay.
I think there's one in the house, though.
Oh.
That's already empty.
Does it have one of these on it?
I think it does, but
Oh.
you can always peel it off.
Can
No, don't peel that off. I'm talking about on the other one. All right, well, we're going to... well, I guess we're gonna go ahead and... Will you sit back here? So let's... Oh.
No!
So let's wrap this up here.
Show them your eyeball.
Yeah, let's... Whoops. Here. Matt. Oh, somebody else is coming. Come on in. Oh, and here's somebody else while I'm recording. Come on in.
Oh.
Yeah. Little sweet, and big sweet. See? See, there's the other sweet. So,
she's not my sister. She's my aunt.
We'll do our workout first because I want to put some makeup on and stuff when I do my video.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I want to make sure, I have my lashes. I want to look nice.
What is the test
In your natural form. It means that Auntie's going to tell how her progress has been with her weight loss journey.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, can I join in?
Yeah, because...
Because I've been working out too.
Sorry.
Wow. And that's being recorded.
I thought you said it stopped.
It did, but I started it up again because we were about to wrap it up. Since she came in here, we're gonna wrap up my my talk because I've been talking now for about an hour. Okay, now let's do this for his battery run out. Come on. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So as we wrap up here, here's my daughter here. Her name is Nija Ejul Mason. And she's my daughter. She's 8 years of age.